My name is Richard Thompson. I'm 57, a retired construction manager who built half the houses in our old neighborhood so my daughter could have the life I never did. After her mother left us when Emily was only 7, it was just me and her. I worked double shifts, missed my own birthdays, and skipped vacations so she could have dance lessons, college tuition, and that fancy wedding dress she always dreamed about. Now, 2 weeks before her wedding, this email arrived. Dad, if you want to attend, you must agree to all 25 conditions, no exceptions. The list was brutal. Do not mention Mom. Wear the exact tuxedo I chose, navy, not black. No stories from my childhood. Arrive exactly at 3:15 p.m., not a minute early. Sit in the third row only. And it kept going. Condition 12 said I couldn't hug her. Condition 19 demanded I smile in every photo but speak to no one. Condition 25 warned that if I cried, I would be escorted out. I sat there in my quiet little apartment, the one I moved into after selling our family home to pay for her education, and felt something inside me break. I had given this girl my entire world, and she was treating me like an embarrassing guest who needed rules to behave. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying every sacrifice, every late-night drive to pick her up from parties, every time I told her, "It's okay, sweetheart. Daddy's got you." And now this. The next morning I opened the old photo albums. There was Emily at age 5, missing her front teeth, riding on my shoulders at the county fair. There she was at 16, crying in my arms after her first heartbreak. I had been her rock, but after she moved to the city for college and met her fiancé, Jacob, things slowly changed. Jacob came from old money. His family lived in a world of country clubs and trust funds. Suddenly my calloused hands and flannel shirts seemed embarrassing. Emily started correcting my grammar on phone calls. She stopped visiting during holidays, saying she was too busy planning the perfect life. I understood she wanted to impress her new in-laws. But 25 conditions? That wasn't a daughter protecting her special day. That was a daughter ashamed of her father. I spent the whole day thinking, maybe I had been too strict sometimes, maybe I worked too much. But I never abandoned her, not once. The anger slowly turned into a deep, heavy sadness. I realized I couldn't walk into that wedding and pretend to be the polite, quiet version of myself she wanted. It would kill the last piece of my heart. So I made a decision. I sat down at my old wooden desk and wrote the letter by hand. No email. No text. Just real paper and real ink, the way important things used to be done. My dearest Emily, by the time you read this, I'll already be gone. I received your list of 25 conditions. I read every single one. I want you to know that I love you more than my own life. I have loved you since the moment the nurse placed you in my arms and you wrapped your tiny fingers around mine. I worked until my back gave out so you could chase your dreams. I never asked for thanks. I only ever wanted to stand in the back of the church, watch my little girl become a woman, and feel proud. But your list tells me that the man I am now embarrasses you. So I will not come and ruin your perfect day. Instead, I'm giving you the greatest gift I can, freedom from worrying about me. I'm flying to Maui tomorrow. I've always wanted to see the ocean at sunrise. Maybe there I'll finally figure out who I am without being someone's father. Inside this envelope you'll find the deed to the old family cabin up north. It's yours now. Sell it, keep it, whatever makes you happy. I also left you the savings I kept for your future children, almost $87,000. It's in the account we opened when you were 10. The password is your birthday. I hope Jacob makes you happy. I hope the wedding is everything you dreamed. And when you walk down that aisle, know that somewhere under Hawaiian skies, your old dad is cheering for you with all his heart. I will always be your father, even if I can't be at your wedding, with all my love, Dad. I sealed the letter, placed it on the kitchen table of the house I still owned but rarely visited, and booked a one-way ticket to Maui. No return date. The moment the plane touched down in Kahului, something inside me shifted. The warm, salty air hit face like a gentle hug I didn't know I needed. I rented a small Jeep and drove straight to a quiet beach resort on the west side. For the first few days I just walked, barefoot on black sand, watching waves crash against ancient lava rocks. I hadn't cried in years, but on the third morning, as the sun painted the sky pink and orange, I sat on a rock and let it all out. Years of loneliness, of feeling invisible, of wondering where I went wrong as a father. I made friends with a retired teacher named Maria who was also traveling alone. We talked for hours over fresh pineapple and strong Kona coffee. She listened without judgment when I told her about the 25 conditions. Sometimes children have to lose something before they understand its value, she said gently. I swam with sea turtles. I hiked the trails of Haleakala and watched the sunrise above the clouds. For the first time in decades, I wasn't Richard the provider or Richard the embarrassing dad. I was just Richard. A man rediscovering joy, but even in paradise, Emily was never far from my thoughts. I wondered if she had read the letter. I wondered if she cried. I wondered if she even cared. On the 7th day, my phone rang while I was watching the sunset from a cliff overlooking the Pacific. It was Emily. Her voice was shaking. Dad, where are you? Maui, I answered quietly. She was silent for a long moment. Then the words poured out between sobs. I found your letter. I read it 100 times. Dad, I'm so sorry. I was stupid and scared, and trying to impress Jacob's family. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you. The wedding felt empty without you. I canceled the reception. I told everyone the truth, that I sent my own father 25 rules like he was some stranger. Tears filled my eyes again. Emily, I love you, Dad. I need you. Please come home, or I'll come to you. Jacob said he doesn't care about any of it. He just wants me to be happy, and I can't be happy without my dad. We talked for over an hour. I told her I forgave her. She told me she had been seeing a therapist and realized how much pressure she had put on herself to be perfect. The wedding was rescheduled for next month. Smaller, simpler, and with only one condition, that her father walk her down the aisle and cry as much as he wanted. 2 days later I flew home. Emily met me at the airport with red eyes and open arms. We hugged for a long time, right there in the middle of the terminal, not caring who saw. The wedding was beautiful. I wore my old black tuxedo. I told embarrassing childhood stories. I cried when she said, I do. And when the photographer captured the moment Emily rested her head on my shoulder, both of us, smiling through happy tears. I knew we had found our way back to each other. Life has a funny way of teaching lessons. Sometimes you have to fly thousands of miles away to realize home was never about a place. It was about the people who truly love you. Even when they make mistakes, the smaller wedding was perfect, but the real work started afterward. Emily and I made a promise that Sunday brunch would be sacred. No phones, no excuses. For the first few months it felt awkward. I'd catch her watching me with guilty eyes, and she'd catch me holding back stories I used to tell freely. One rainy afternoon she showed up at my apartment with takeout and old photo albums. I want to hear every embarrassing story, Dad. No more editing myself. We laughed until we cried over pictures of her as a toddler covered in spaghetti. That day she finally told me how scared she had been. Jacob's family had made subtle comments about blue-collar roots, and she panicked, thinking the only way to fit in was to control everything, including me. I was trying to protect the wedding, she whispered, but I almost lost the most important person in it. We started small traditions again. I taught Jacob how to grill the perfect steak the way I used to on weekends. He turned out to be a decent guy who genuinely respected me once the walls came down. Slowly, the distance that had grown between us began to melt. About 8 months later, Emily called me in tears again. But this time they were happy tears. She was pregnant. I drove through the night to be with her for the first ultrasound. As we saw that tiny heartbeat on the screen, something shifted deep inside both of us. While helping them prepare the nursery, I found an old box in their attic that contained letters my late wife had written before she left us. Emily had never seen them. We read them together. Her mother had struggled with severe depression and felt she would only hurt us by staying. She had asked me in those letters to tell Emily the truth. When she was older, but I had shielded her from the pain. Reading those letters brought fresh grief, but also understanding. Emily finally saw the full picture of why I had worked so hard and loved so fiercely. You carried everything alone, Dad, she said, hugging me tight. I'm so sorry I ever made you feel small. That night we burned the 25 conditions in the backyard fire pit, a symbolic fresh start. In their place, Emily wrote a new list. 25 ways she wanted to make me proud as a daughter and soon-to-be mother. Grace Elizabeth Thompson arrived on a bright spring morning. The moment I held my granddaughter, every sacrifice felt worth it. She had my eyes and Emily's smile. Watching my daughter become a mother healed something in both of us that I didn't know was still broken. But new parents face challenges. Jacob's demanding job meant long nights and exhausted days. I moved closer to them and became the official grandpa on call. I changed diapers, sang lullabies I used to sing Emily, and cooked big family meals on weekends. The role felt natural, like coming full circle. One difficult night when Grace had colic and wouldn't stop crying, Emily broke down. "I don't know how you did this alone, Dad." I just held her and said, "You were worth every single sleepless night. And so is she." As Grace grew, I made sure to teach her the simple joys I had given Emily: catching fireflies, building blanket forts, and eating ice cream for dinner sometimes. Emily started a small tradition of recording me telling stories to Grace. Those videos became precious keepsakes. During one quiet evening on the porch, Emily asked me about Maui. I told her how that trip saved me. How learning to put myself first for once taught me that love shouldn't require conditions from either side. She nodded and said she had started therapy again. Not because she was broken, but because she wanted to be the best mother and daughter she could be. We took a family trip back to Maui when Grace was 2. This time I wasn't running away. I was sharing paradise with the people I loved most. Watching Emily chase her daughter on the same beach where I once sat alone healed the last scars. Today, 10 years after that painful email, our family is stronger than ever. Grace calls me Papa Rich and demands I tell her the wedding story at least once a month. I always end it the same way. Sometimes the hardest thing a parent can do is walk away so their child can see clearly, and sometimes the most beautiful thing a child can do is run after them. Emily framed more than just my letter. She keeps a photo wall in their home. Before the conditions, during the healing, and now. Every time I visit, I see that old black tuxedo photo right in the center. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: isn't perfect. We hurt each other, sometimes deeply. But real love shows up anyway, without lists, without rules, and without conditions. I no longer fly to Maui to escape. I fly there now with my daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter to celebrate how far we've come. And every sunrise I watch over the ocean reminds me that no matter how dark the night gets, a new day is always waiting. To every parent watching this who feels unappreciated, and every child who realizes they've been unfair: pick up the phone. Write the letter. Book the ticket if you have to. But never stop fighting for the people who matter most. Because in the end, love without conditions is the only kind worth passing down.